So let me just start the recording.
Chopstick microphone.
Yeah. I just decided to do this impromptu like last interview the person did. They just used this and now we're just continuing with it.
Cool.
Yeah. So are you ready?
Ready?
Okay. So let me just quickly test. Okay. So for the first question, so introduce yourself a little bit. How did you find about basis and what got you into the job?
My son and my wife. Back in 2011, we heard from other families that my son has attended a school here, and several families heard about basis coming and did some research together, and we went to information meetings, and my son ended up enrolling in 7th grade here in 2011, and my wife took a part-time job at the school, and so that was my entree.
Oh. Okay. Let's see. So what exactly do you like about your job being as like the head of school?
Oh, I like being around the kids. That's essential for me. Really enjoy it. It's enjoyable to come back and see a few students that I haven't seen in 4 years. It must be like a parent with a child going off to college and you don't see them for 4 years and then you see them again. I enjoy the teachers. They're spectacular. And it's always a pleasure to work with them.
Okay. And let's see. So which college did you go to and what were some highlights while you were there?
Oh gosh,
It's been a while ago.
I went to Stanford twice. The first time, I got a degree in chemistry. What was it like back then? Well, that was in the early 70s. So a lot of social unrest in America, a lot of Vietnam War, Watergate. A lot of those things were happening around that time. And Stanford was part of it, although it's a fairly conservative school by reputation. Its kids are anything but conservative, at least at that era. So, and then years later, I went back to the business school. And that was after I figured out that I didn't want to be a chemist.
No. So, what exactly did you think that being a chemist didn't work out for you?
Well, I'm the oldest of 5 sons, and our dad was a chemist. So I think that was a natural attraction. And it took learning about chemistry in some detail to realize that I wasn't that interested in it. I don't really think I knew the subject well enough. Because one of the things that does not happen at our schools, I mean, we give kids a fairly good introduction to many different subjects. Not all of them that are in careers, of course, but certainly you get your fill of biology, chemistry, physics, math, English, and history, and a few others. So by the time you're ready to go to college and pick a major, you have a much better idea of what you'd like to do than I did back then.
Yeah. And what is something you like doing outside of school?
I like sleeping.
Sleeping?
Yeah, sleeping is good.
Yeah. Then do you have any pets? And how many of those do you have?
Not anymore. Before we left for China, my wife and I went to China in 2017. We had a black lab of 15, and she passed away.
What was your favorite thing about her?
I think the favorite thing about her was her energy. She had just a lot of energy, and when she was young, she would chew things like crazy. She was half lab, half chow, and I'm told that chow has the chewing thing, especially when they're young. Great for our son. He grew up with the dog.
And do you have any favorite foods? Is there any restaurants you like in particular?
No, I don't have any here. I'm still getting used to, the state of Phoenix after being away for 4 years. No, I pretty much eat anything.
Just anything?
Yeah, my wife's Indian, so I've gotten used. I love Indian food. I like Thai food. The spicier, the better. I'm still looking for good Mexican food in Arizona. But I'll pretty much eat anything.
Nice. like, where have you traveled, and which of those places are your favorite that you traveled to?
Hmm. I think the favorite place that I've been to so far is Italy. Drove across the Pyrenees in Spain and hit the coast of France and Italy down to Rome, and I think that part of Italy I really enjoyed a lot. I'd love to go back. Love to visit new places.
Yeah. So, like, where would you like to travel to?
I think a couple of places that I'd like to go back to Europe. My wife has never been there. So Eastern Europe. My youngest brother is married to a Bulgarian woman, and they have plans to relocate soon to Bulgaria. And so I've known some teachers over the years who have been from that part of the world, and they talk very well of that area. A lot of history, beautiful scenery, friendly people, reasonable cost of living.
Yeah. And so you said you traveled to China. So how different are the schools there compared to here? And like,
Quite a bit different. So the campuses are quite bigger. Land and capacity in the schools much bigger. So you have a larger enrollment. You have many more teachers. But the biggest change is that Chinese revere teachers, whereas teachers are not revered in America. And Chinese families do not even have to know you well to pay you the respect. It's the position that you're in. Being in a teaching position earns you respect. And of course, once they get to know you and if they impress you with skill and responsiveness and good communication, they'll love you even more. But they'll love you from the beginning. You don't have to earn their trust. And coming from New York, that's certainly not the case here in America, where I think there's a lot of skepticism about what we're doing. Every family has a different opinion about a way the school should be run. Charter schools are completely different also, because I think there's a different characteristic to them, being tuition free.
Yeah. And is there something that you find particularly like maybe it's a pet peeve with parents that they ask a lot, or like something?
No, I would say here no.
No.
I think for the most part we have extremely loyal parents, very supportive parents, and they have done their research. They pick the school. They want everything to be successful. So if there's a common theme, it's we're all joined in wanting our school to be successful. I don't hear peeves. Everybody has something to say when things go wrong. But they're grateful, and I think if you're honest with people, and that includes students too, if you're honest with them and say you made a mistake and we're going to try to do this differently or better next time, I think most people will give you the grace to do that.
Yeah, that's good. And on a different note, so what is a talent that you're personally proud of that you have?
I have no talent. I'm very proud of that.
That's a special answer.
I've never taught in K through 12 schools. Before coming to Basis, my only teaching experience was in college, and that was only in part-time adjunct roles. I admire the skill set the teachers have, and I think I'm not much of a threat to them from the standpoint that I can't tell them how to do their job better. And I think that teachers actually are in a better position to advise their peers on improvements, and I've really been encouraged by seeing some of the opportunities for teachers to improve in our schools over time. I just believe in being honest and bold. I don't believe in holding back. A coworker many years ago told me quietly that if there was an award for the person most likely to jump off the end of a pier, it would be me.
Oh.
So that's a characteristic. I'm not sure it's a skill. I'm systems oriented, so I really like to work with people and processes. And when things go wrong, I blame the system or the process and not the person or the persons.
Oh, yeah.
I think I'm kind. Um, I've got some patience. So,
That's good. That's good.
but I have no skill in teaching chemistry. Which you asked a question about how I first came here. I didn't finish the story. I got to know our first head of school after a couple of meetings at the info sessions, because the first assessments were taken at ASU West because the old campus wasn't finished yet. And I took my son there, and another of his friends' dads was going to stay there. I think it was only 2 or 3 hours, so we're just going to wait there. And most of the other parents left. Well, not all the proctors showed up. So Jeffrey Hauser was the first head of school, asked me and my son Bailey's friend's dad, "Hey, would you like to stay and proctor for us? We're a little short of people." So we said, fine, and we walked into these amphitheater-sized lecture halls at ASU West and found things like kids didn't have pencils, and they didn't understand the instructions, and we just helped them out. And at the end of the day, Mr. Hauser found out that I had a degree in chemistry once upon a time.
Oh.
And a couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks into the school year, I got a phone call from him asking me if I'd like to teach chemistry. And I paused for maybe half a second and said, "No, I'm not interested." "Well, why don't you come into the school anyway and we'll talk and see what happens." And so that's how my first job came about.
Oh, it's a pretty cool story. So let's see. So, what is something like quirky about yourself that you think no one else has?
Quirky.
Like, what is something like maybe you do every day, or something that they like do it as a yearly thing?
I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
That is pretty early.
I don't know if I do anything every year. I went to the Oregon Shakespeare Festival in Ashland for 20 summers in a row.
Whoa.
I can't think of anything too quirky.
Yeah, that's already pretty interesting. The Shakespeare Festival. Never heard of that before.
It was a mini college reunion. A group of us from Stanford did it, mostly because a friend of ours who grew up in Medford told us about it, and now 2 of those friends bought homes in the area. So it's
that's
circle
awesome.
of life kind of thing, I guess.
Yeah. So, what is like one of your embarrassing moments in life? So, one of your most.
Oh my goodness, you're gonna ask me embarrassing questions. Let's see.
I mean, if you're uncomfortable with answering, we can totally skip it.
Well, let me think. I try to forget things that are embarrassing.
Yeah, that's just what happens.
Well, there are a lot of embarrassing things that happen in school. When I was in school.
Yeah.
Answering a question wrong in class, or, I have dreams about, missing a final exam or showing up late. I have those stereotypical dreams, but they never actually happened. And the other day I remembered, I have these kind of dark memories of school, but I forget all the fun times. And I'm now spending more time thinking about all the positive things that have happened. There are a lot of them. But probably it wasn't embarrassing, but the biggest transition for me was between 6th and 7th grades. My family moved from Berkeley, which was, at least the school community we were in was quite heterogeneous, and moved over the hill to an upper middle class white suburb. And just because I had black hair at the time, I felt really different, because I was Caucasian. And that was a shock for me. At that age, you're going through a lot of changes anyway. And I think from that experience, I've become aware much more than I would have if I hadn't had the experience, how childhood experiences form our values and how we look at the world. our worldview of life and how we make sense of things. And I reconnected with that in Manhattan when I was there for the last 3 years. A very diverse community. But that wasn't embarrassing. It was very uncomfortable, but not embarrassing.
So next one. So how about like one of your most like successful or triumphant moments in your life was something like a really high point in your life?
I made it. I made it through chemistry at Stanford after deciding I wasn't very good at it.
Yeah.
That was survival. What else? Birth of a child is always up there on that list.
Yeah.
That was quite an accomplishment. I think being able to have diverse experiences in my job, because I tend to spend more time in my jobs than I do relaxing or taking vacations. And so being able to have that diversity within a job, I think for the last 10 years has been really enjoyable.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So let's see. So if you were to like give a tip to your like past self, what would it be?
I would be more inquisitive about my choices in life much earlier in life.
Much earlier in life, yeah.
Like in school, for example. Instead of just plowing through and doing whatever was asked of me, I would be more inquisitive and maybe more challenging. That way more opportunities would present themselves earlier in life, and you can make different decisions. But no, I don't have any regrets. It's probably the only advice I'd have.
Yeah, that's good. So what is like something advice you would give to students, like something you see a lot that you think students should be doing differently?
I think they should lighten their backpacks. Most students are carrying too much, and it's going to harm them physically. And I invite students to sit in the hallway with me and unload their lockers and rebalance their backpacks if they want. I have advice for parents too: buy second sets of books. Don't run in the hallways. Be nice to others. And by nice, I mean respectful. You don't always have to agree, but whatever happens, be respectful. And I think that does not just include your teachers, but your friends, people you don't know. That'll pay off long term. What other advice do I have? I've often seen kids under a lot of stress, and it's getting worse as time goes on. I don't have an answer for that, except that you as a student need to find, just as adults need to find, balance and margin. Balance means that you do enough fun and re-energizing activities in your life, and for every person that can be different, to balance off the work that you have to do, whatever the work is. Now, sometimes work can be fun, sometimes it's not. And the other thing is margin. So a good example of this is a high school student was a minute late coming in the gate the other day, and my comment was, "You're cutting it too close." And the response I heard was, "I ran into 3 red lights along the way." That's not enough margin. Whether a light is green, yellow, or red is beyond anyone's control, and you need to plan better for that and give yourself the margin to do that. Same with homework, same with extracurricular activities, same with whatever goals your parents may have given you. You need to have some margin. And for everybody, again, it's going to be different, but you have to find that. And it's a learning process. You don't discover it in 6 months. It takes a few years to do that.
Yeah. So just moving on to some of the more fun questions we have. So
those are the fun questions.
I mean, we have some different questions because, we got some stuff like, what is a controversial food opinion you have? Like maybe pineapple on pizza or milk before cereal, stuff like that. What is like something the way you eat something that's like incredibly different from everyone else?
Well, I don't eat cereal.
Mm, well, that would make sense.
I barely drink milk. I've been lactose intolerant since my early 30s. And even though we have pills, I've just gotten out of the habit of drinking milk and eating ice cream and cheese and things like that.
Oh.
I don't have, I can't think of any.
Yeah. Then let's see. So, what is like a personal like horror story? You have like something that is like really was like shocking to you in your life, like that happened with other people or things or like with animals.
Shocking. Death. Seeing someone that you know dead. Identifying somebody in a morgue, or seeing a dead body on the street, somebody you don't know. That's each one of those experiences shocked me.
Yeah.
Same with similar, not quite to the same extent, but same with pets that pass away or die or are injured. Same with injured children who are suffering. That's awful.
Yeah. So, let's see. Onto a completely different topic. So, do you believe water is wet?
Do I believe water is wet?
Yes.
Yes, in liquid form, it's wet.
Uh-huh. So, from like a chemical standpoint, you'd argue as wet, or
I wouldn't argue it. It just is.
it just is? Okay, interesting. So let's see. So a goose is running towards you at full speed, like angrily honking at a park. What do you do?
A goose is charging at me?
Yeah.
Gosh. I don't know. Can't outrun a goose. I don't know. I would move perpendicular.
Move perpendicular. Would you try to fight the goose at all?
No.
No. Yeah.
No.
So let's see. So when someone with an accent thinks to themselves, do you think they have an accent in their thoughts as well?
An accent?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe the language and dialects that we speak influence how we think. So that's a different way of answering the question, but yes. I took Spanish all the way through high school, and I started to experience a little bit of it. I never became fully fluent, but I started to think a little differently, and I really enjoyed languages when I was young and had the capacity to learn them. I learned Greek and German and a few others. But yes, I think it does influence how you think.
Oh, interesting. So create a wacky ice cream flavor of your choice. Well, like, what would it be?
It would be mint chip chocolate with like some brittle crunch, something crunchy.
Okay.
Although I haven't eaten ice cream in decades, so
You haven't.
they may have something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. They definitely do have mint chocolate chip, so you might want to try that.
No, I've tried that when I was a little kid, but it doesn't have enough crunchiness in it. You need to get more crunchiness in.
Okay. So let's see. So if you were to design a class, what kind of class would it be, and or are you teaching?
I were to design a class. I would design a class around self-development. And what are the things that you need to do in life to be healthy in all aspects? You know, social, emotional, physical, spiritual, mental. Whatever it takes to be a human being and how to do it well, that's what I would teach.
Let's see. So you are given a task to invent a country. So what would be the highlights of the country's culture, and what would you do with the country?
Invent a country.
Let me take a little while to think about.
Well, I'm thinking about how messy it would be to start a country.
Yeah.
And my immediate reaction was that I'm not interested in that.
Yeah.
Because look at our country. It's 250 years old approximately, and it's messy, but it's a great example of a republic, a democratic republic, and as many problems as we have and as messy as we are, it's so much better than the alternatives. So no, I'm not going to improve on that. That doesn't sound like a very fun thing to do. Maybe if it was a video game or something like that,
Yeah.
where doing creating a city or a country, it might be fun to.
Yeah. So do you usually play any video games in your spare time, or is that
No,
no?
no. My son begged me to play video games with him when he was growing up, and I just don't have any interest in that.
Okay. So let's see. So, if you were to sell like a frying pan in the most ridiculous way, how would you do it?
Sell a frying pan in the most ridiculous way possible. Well, I've actually done that.
No.
I just give
Really?
them away.
You just give them away.
Yeah,
Free.
because I move so many times, you end up with things that aren't worth moving, and so you just give them away. I don't know if that's ridiculous, but
Yeah. Well, at least you're kind of selling them for free, I guess.
yeah. Or you donate them so somebody else can sell them
Yeah.
or use them.
And so, on our final question, so what do you want people to remember you for?
Oh, I'd like people to remember that I worked really hard for their benefit, and that I did it kindly. I didn't force my beliefs or values on other people, and I did it for their benefit.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome. And that's the end of the interview. Thank you for accepting the interview. And
You're welcome.
Thank you for giving me your time.
You're most welcome.
Yeah.
Bases